Rafael.
Good, thank you.
Good. You're back. You're back at your studio.
Oh, it's just a simple room.
Oh, so this is like your workshop space, like place you do some work.
Yeah, I
Oh,
work here.
mm,
I have a lot of book of art and animation.
oh, nice. That's wonderful. Let's wait a couple of minutes for Laura. She's supposed to join us. Let me check with her. She's going to join us. Just give me a second. Give me a moment. I'm just looking for her at my
Yes.
phone. I'm gonna text her quickly. Oh, here she is. Okay, I'm waiting for her reply. So while I'm waiting for her, how are things going with you? Tell me a little bit about your last week. How everything's going for you in your work?
Um, my work. I work a lot because I work for um, uh, the creator. I work with the creator of Arthur. You know
Arthur?
Arthur.
Arthur?
Yeah.
No, is that an animated character?
Yes, it's very popular. You don't know Arthur?
If I see a picture, what kind of
Oh,
character is that?
just go on Google and Arthur.
Arthur.
It's hard to said for a French guy like me.
Arthur. Cartoon is a cartoon.
Yeah, yeah, it's great for Mark Brown. You know Mark Brown's?
I'm not. Oh, I know Arthur. Oh yeah, it's a mouse, so it's a rat.
Oh, I think it's a mouse.
It's a mouse. Oh, that's a very old cartoon.
Yeah, but now I work on the new show on this guy because the show is made at Quebec in
Uh-huh.
Canada.
Uh-huh. And you're doing the animation for the show? You're animator?
No, I work on the character.
Character design?
Yes,
Oh, nice. That's wonderful.
I do
Wonderful.
turn around and I prepare all the stuff, all the mouth and
So you're doing the digital assets, like
yeah,
or digital assets.
yeah.
You made
It's made with the Toon Boom.
Boom Boom. Wow. Yeah, I wanted to learn that program. I just didn't get a chance to. I mean, it is something that I used to do animation before many years ago. I used to do a Macromedia Director. I used to use the program many years
Oh,
ago. Many years ago. And
yeah. I remember director. It's a old
it's very
old.
old. It's very old. But I used to draw it. I used to draw by hand and then
Yeah.
scan it. And then same process like Toon Boom. Just let me check. I think 1 second. Laura, she's not. Okay, well, she's not answering, so we're just gonna continue.
And
So yeah.
I meet Mid-Journey this week.
Oh, you got Midjourney?
You know what this thing
Eh,
are?
Yeah, I did a little bit Midjourney a few months ago. I was doing some AI stuff, a little bit. But I think I actually talk a lot about that in my LinkedIn posts. I think AI is nice, but it becomes so boring for me. It's boring because I like to create something by myself, and it's nice that you give a speech to the computer, and the computer creates those things what you want for you, and it's good for reference. But I think I enjoy more when I create something by myself.
Yeah. I do some reference work with that for one of my project, not an important project, but kind of art toy.
Art toy.
Art toy.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I can show you.
Yeah,
It's,
please. I would love to see that.
It's give me a lot of picture because it's easy.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you reference. It's very easy.
I just want to share my screen. Okay, that's
Yeah. Oh, 1 second. Let me share screen. 1 second. Okay, now you can share. Sorry.
Do you see? Okay, no. Share screen. Okay. Okay. Share. Maybe.
Okay. Oh, nice. That's cool.
But you know, it's never. It's not. You know, like there are a lot of strange things.
Yes. Especially when you do. I notice when you do humans, it makes very strange fingers, like a lot of fingers.
But you
But
know,
this,
it's. Excuse
yes?
me.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's helped me to I don't know. It's like I look all the picture,
Mhm.
but they're the most beautiful. I find this one. I love this one, but I love not the detail of this one. You know, it's like I take some element here,
Mhm.
maybe. This one, the face here is interesting, you know.
Mhm. And once you find what you want, are you what's your next step? Are you doing 3D rendering, or are you just doing 2D, or what do you draw from that? What do you do?
Oh, my objective is I have a stuff for that. It's school. It's like it's a course I find on Domestika.
Mhm.
You know
Yeah.
Domestika,
Yes.
and I can show you the course. It's give me 1 second. This is the course. It's creation of art toy.
Mhm. Oh, so actually you're making a physical model.
Yeah, like that.
That's
It's like
beautiful.
you do an armature.
Mhm.
I like armature. I have a lot of stuff, but it's take time. But
Yeah, it's something I love doing sculptures. I didn't show you a lot in the class my sculptures, but I've done a lot of sculpting actually.
and anyway, the high cannot do that stuff.
Excuse me, what?
The artificial intelligence artificial
Mhm.
cannot do stuff like real stuff.
Mm. But some people, I think, what they do, they can take the 3D and they create a 3D print out of it. 3D print. You know about 3D printing?
Yes, but I don't have 3D print now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't do that either. But I think if you can sculpt it, I enjoy sculpting a lot.
yeah.
It's really fun. When I do my children's books, I always like to sculpt my characters. It's always it's fun. I don't paint it usually. I just make it for the form, for reference. So when I draw in the book, I have the reference in front of me. You know, it's really fun. So when you do the art toy, you're gonna make like molds, and you're gonna make many copies.
This course is not about mold. It's you do an armature,
Mhm.
and you sculpt them. You
Mhm.
make it. you need to in the
In the oven.
yes, and after that you polish them, you paint it, and that's there are other ways like vinyl I don't know, it's vinyl. It's
Vinyl
a
toys.
beautiful render,
Mhm.
but it's another step.
Yeah, but at least you make the prototype, the first prototype.
Yeah, that's a good. I have the same painting, the same product. They are. It's acrylic paint
Mhm.
in
Yes.
spray,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and
I yeah. Go ahead.
it's make a beautiful render. I think.
Yeah. Let me show you. I want to show you some. I don't know if you have you seen this, some of my sculptures that I've done.
One of them very beautiful.
I did. Oh, I did show you in the first class for the Wind and the Willows, the rats. You saw my sculptures, right?
Yeah.
Right. So these were actually made with armature, and I used the Super Sculpey.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I finished, I baked it in the oven, and I put gesso on it.
What?
Gesso.
Okay. Okay.
Gesso, and then
Yeah.
I painted with acrylic, but with a brush. Just with
Airbrush.
no airbrush, brush, just regular brush.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, but I just did it for a pitch, to pitch it for a movie. It wasn't for mass production. So it was a movie pitch, a prototype, which is it's very when you go pitch a project, if you can bring with you a 3D model, it makes your pitch much more appealing to people. Do you know why?
No.
Because when people see the sculpture, they can see the toys.
Oh.
That's why, because people want to think how they're going to make money. If you, let's say, you're going to go pitch an animation project, let's say with the Fox or wherever you're going to go, if you bring the sculpture, you can show them, oh, we can sell toys. Here's the toy. And they're like, boom. That's very helpful when you do a pitch for whatever it is. If it's something that you're going to turn it from animation or whatever. But if you bring sculptures with you, you have, from my experience, much more chance to sell your idea if you have it physical, because most people don't have imagination, because we artists, we can imagine, but when you go pitch it to people, most of them, they have no imagination. So when you show them the actual sculpture, you tell them this is how the toy gonna look like. They say, oh wow, and that's it. Boom. That's very helpful. So it's good that you sculpt, actually, you know.
Yes, I have a lot of I have a lot of stuff for doing sculpture.
Sculpture. Yeah, it's fun. One of the techniques I did when I was sculpting one of my projects, I have a lot of collection of old toys, toy parts, broken parts of different toys. So I glued them together and I made these robots. And then I sprayed with a primer, and then everything looks consistent, and then I painted it.
Ah.
Let me show you. I wanna see. Let me find it. I'll show you.
Ooh.
1 second, I'm looking at my files. I want to find it in a minute. Okay, now it's opening. 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Let me share the screen so you can see the artwork. Second. So do
Oh.
you see my screen?
Yes, I
So
like
this,
that.
thank you. So this was actually made from just bunch of old toys, and I glued them together, and then I sprayed them with a primer, which is like a gray color before you paint. And then I used the eyes from dolls, and I used different parts, and I put like a little bit rust texture. And this is one of the toys I made. That's one. And I'll show you another one from the same series. 1 second. So that's one. It's do you see my screen now?
Yes.
So that's basically it's a robot inside a babushka, like a babushka doll.
Uh-huh.
So I actually took a babushka and I painted it, and I put inside like robot inside. So there's many ways to approach sculpting. You can sculpt, but it depends on the nature of the project. It's that's basically, it depends on. Oh, you have an armature. You're holding something there.
I have, you know that it's a thing I buy. It's a
It's for like
sticky,
it's for
it's for a
stop motion.
stop motion studio.
That's cool. So you can sculpt on it actually. So Rafael, let's show me what you've been doing the last week for the home assignment. Did you have a chance to do something for the home assignment?
Yes.
Okay.
I tried to make a story, a trailer for the book of the cactus.
The cactus.
The
cactus. The one you've been working at the beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
I do some. It's a trailer for YouTube. About 1 minute.
Okay.
I don't have no, it's complete, but it's not it's for myself, but it's okay for myself. I'll show you. I'm going to find the right camera. It's more easy with that. You see,
yes, I do.
I can try to just give me 1 second. Okay, like that.
So is that a storyboard?
Yes.
Very nice.
But it's for the beginning. I don't know if you see there are some some my pen is broke, but there are some camera moves.
Yes.
Some pen. Okay. Yes. At the beginning, there are dance music, but acoustic dance music, not more like traditional in the village.
Folk music.
What? Yes, and some child dance. With some parallax. They are camera animation, but it's very limited animation, except for this character, who this character camera move, and she passed through the screen like that, and for and the moon look the girl and close the eyes and head turn for a movement of on it's very interesting to see movement, but there are some when you're young, the
Mhm.
world is playground.
Mhm.
You can go anywhere. The freedom to move whatever you want is a precious gift.
Mhm.
I think you see the inverse.
Yes. Is that gonna be a song that we're gonna hear in the background, like a song?
I don't know. I don't think so. There are a song, but I don't know. I don't write this for like a song.
Mm.
There are no but I write the story like a song.
Mhm.
But maybe after that, no, this is, and after that, no, this is the freedom to make whatever you want is a precious gift.
Mhm.
After that, they are the camera move.
Mhm.
You see the cactus and a house with the bird, and during this time, the narrative said one that should never be taken for granted. But I don't know if it's maybe hard to say.
It's unclear. I don't think I don't know exactly what it means. What maybe you need to clarify a little bit what you're writing.
Oh, excuse me. I just try to put the camera to the. It's not very useful, a camera like a mirror.
Yeah, it's moving around. It's meet a cactus. So the girl, she meets the cactus.
No, the girl at the beginning. Let me explain more clearly. The girl go through the screen,
Uh-huh.
and it's ending like that, and it's ending like the freedom to move whatever you want is a precious gift.
Mm-hmm.
After that, all you see is that with the
Mhm.
camera, it's a trunk camera,
Mhm.
and you see the cactus there and the canary inside the house,
Mhm.
and the narrative said one that should never be taken for granted.
Mm.
But it's after that a close up, and let's meet the narrative said, but let's meet a cactus, and during this time the cactus tried to move,
Mhm.
and it's limited animations, like very like I do the most of the time it's like and he fall, very fast, and maybe he fall, I don't know, and when he said let's me a cactus and a let me a cactus and a canary, the canary is on the cage.
Mhm.
He tried to fly, but he can't.
Mhm.
But and they have a common dream to see the world, but can't.
Mhm.
But it's very fast.
Okay. So how is the girl? How is the girl? We see the girl at the beginning. She's related to the story. She's not related to the story. The girl.
No, she liked the people, because when it's, I find it's always like that to me, to be very clarify. No, the girl, it's the dream. The child at the beginning, it's like the dream. The cactus and the canary has
Mhm.
to see the world.
Mhm.
It's
So what happened?
because it's why at the beginning there are some fade and black. Maybe I need to add in the storyboard. I think you can do something like that, like fade and black. It's not it's fade
What is
and
it?
black,
What does it
and
mean?
yeah, the girl passed through the screen, and now it's fade and black.
Mhm.
like the music stop. It's like a beat, and now the real story begin. It's like that. I wanna.
So the girl, she's not part of the story. She's like introduction to the story.
Yeah, it's the introduction. But there are a lot of girls. There are 1, 2, 3, and this one is the only to move.
So you want to show through the kids dancing that they have the freedom, to move.
Yeah.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's great.
And after that, I introduce the canary and the cactus, but in two little physical joke, like the cactus can move, and the canary cannot move too, and are sad about it.
Okay, and then what happens? Did you figure out what happens next?
Yes, they have a common dream to see the world, but can't. And fade in music, fade in black and music, and now yeah, but the problem is it's not the good you okay, it's more like that. Okay, you see the house, and it's a camera traveling with the cactus jumping, and the canary happy and sing, and they are about to embark on a one in a lifetime adventure. But after, it's like a bit when it's ending, like fade in black, but can't. The music stop. There are some second to stop, and now you see like a fast camera. It's like slow, fast, and now it's very fast. The camera move, the cactus jumping, and the canary. They are back. They are about to embark on a once in a lifetime adventure.
Okay.
And this is after that. This is like a pop-up of the book with a code QR.
With a what?
A QR
code. QR code. So how is did you figure out how is the canary and the cactus, how they're actually moving, what allows them to get out on the journey? Because the canary is locked inside the house and the cactus cannot move. So what happens that allows them to actually to move, to get out?
The story tell them, but the trailer don't.
Oh, I see. So you don't show that in the trailer?
No, but I don't know if they missed something, because I cannot tell the end. I can tell the all the story and the trailer, I think.
Yeah, I don't think you need to tell the story, but maybe you want to show the audience that something is happening. It's kind of a teaser. You know what about the teaser, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can show them that there's something that helps them to get out of their basically prison or from their limitation. You want to show something to give a hint to the audience that something happens, and then you want to, if you want to see the rest, you have to read the book or you have to watch the whole animation. But I think it's going to be good if you show in the teaser trailer a little hint, about what is a hint.
Yes.
So you want to show, I think you want to give them a hint. What is it that's going to help them to get out from their limitation? You know what I mean?
Yes, but the hints must be here, I think.
Must be what?
Here, because there is a bot can't fade in black, and this is the hand. They miss something. They miss something between there and there.
Yes, exactly. So I think maybe you want to think about what is it that you maybe just give a quick hint to the audience. What is it that helps them to get out, to fulfill the dream, you know?
Because the answer is they each they help each other
Yes.
to find because the cactus opened the door to the canary, and
Mhm.
the canary yeah.
So are you going to animate it, or right now it's just an idea?
What are the questions?
Are you going to create an animation from this trailer? That's what you're working on now?
No, I can do animation for that, but
Mhm.
it's not what I'm work on it. I don't have I have a lot of project, but it's hard to find a solid project.
What about the other project you were working with, the Bonbon? Have you done anything on the Bonbon, with the fox?
Yes, I continue to this one. I do just an armature, and
Okay.
I began to sculpt them.
Okay. So yeah, I think it's anything else you've done the last week that you want to share, Rafael?
No, it's so
That's it.
that's it.
So we're gonna, one of the things that I wanna encourage my students, whether you are now with me on the class in live or you're gonna watch the recording, is to develop one project, to focus on one project. We're going to talk about it a little bit more in this class. What will be the next steps to you to take for your project? So I offer to my students to do independent study. Do you know what is independent study, Rafael?
No, I'm
It's
not
like
sure.
it's like mentorship. I offer mentorship, private mentorship to my students. So
Yeah,
we can do one-on-one sessions if you want,
yeah.
once a week or once a month, whatever you want, and I can help you, guide you how to take your project, basically to be committed to and to make it happen. So we make a plan, and then I help you implement all the things that we've learned in this class, and also things from my experience, from my professional work, and to help you basically materialize your project. So if you interested, we can talk about it after the class, and also to those who are watching the recording, I offer the same thing, to do independent study, because this class is gives you a lot of information and a lot of ideas and concepts. But now after the class, it's going to be the time to actually to start making things happen, if you're interested.
Yes, but I have a project. I have a project. I'm interesting to go further. Yes, I
So,
have one.
so wonderful. So if you want, we can talk about, and also again for the other students, we can discuss doing a mentorship.
Yeah.
Depends on your time and everything. We can decide how many times we meet, and then I can basically be help do mentorship with you to help you make the project happening, including how to make a good pitch, because I have a lot of experience pitching ideas, which is very important. It's not just making the project, but also creating a Bible. You know about Bible?
Yes.
So creating a Bible, and what you want to put there, how to formulate the Bible, what you want to write, how to make your writing appealing, and how to make a very powerful presentation. That's really something that it's very, very helpful. So we can talk about it later. Okay.
Okay, but
Okay.
I have a stuff to show for about my project where what I want to exactly do.
Yeah, please. You want to show now?
Oh, I can, but I can. Yes, but it's not really a project. Okay, it's more what I can do.
Mhm.
My goal is to, you remember the last time you show very simple character but very efficient character.
The piggy, the pig.
Yes, and maybe other character are very simple and very wow. It's very interesting to show, because I think I have a lack. A lack is a lack. It's makes sense. It makes sense. A lack. They are missing something in my story. Just I just need to find you. Okay. Okay, share screen. It's on YouTube. Maybe it's not very fluid, but I can very easily and fast create character and animate them. Okay.
Is that your work? Is this your work?
Yes, it's all my work. Music, vocal. It's about 2 minutes, and the character. I do all, but I don't think it's an old project. Okay, but it's now I'm more good than that, because I work a lot in the industry, and this is the kind of I can do very fast.
Okay.
It's not a very. Do you see that it's fluid? It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. No, the timing is not.
There is no sound. Is it without sound?
Now there are sound.
Oh, I don't. Oh no. For some reason, I don't hear the sound.
Oh, you don't hear the sound?
No, I don't know why. Is this? Did you create this with the Toon Boom as well?
Yes. That's my first project with Toon Boom. No, there are a lot of.
Very cool.
But my idea is to make the. But the song is important now, because they are a precise timing.
Yeah, from some reason I don't hear the sound. I don't know why it doesn't play the sound. But yeah, obviously you can animate. It's very clear that you can animate. Very nice animation, Raphael. It's really cool.
And so my objective is to create create some character, a branch of character. But the people will love. I must work on some joke. I need to work on writing stuff. Made it exactly what you have what I have learned in this course.
Okay, wonderful. So we can talk about it after the class. We can continue and we can decide on how we can do this one-on-one coaching. Okay. Okay, fantastic. So I would like to now to start to show you some stuff that I've prepared for this class. So this week, last week, this is our last session, planting the seeds for your own personal project, reviewing and integrating the course and each student's progress and accomplishments, and setting the stage for what's next. So unfortunately, you're the only one here, and I'm very glad that you're sharing your work, Raphael. I don't see Laura. She's not joining us from some reason. I hope everything is okay with her. But I hope after the class, we can continue the communication also with the other students.
But excuse me, I don't see your screen.
Right. I'm sorry. Let me go. Yes, 1 second. Let me go to my screen. Okay, now you see my screen? Now you should see my screen.
Oh, I think I need to stop to share. I share something. Excuse me. Stop share. Okay. Okay, I see.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm glad you shared your work and your progress and what's next. And I hope the other students after the class, because you're the only one on the live video right now, going to continue. And I want to see you guys manifesting your projects. That's really would be something that I would like to see. So I made another example video how I use basically a quick, simple object, how to get ideas, because I think one of the things for us artists, sometimes we want to find inspiration, right? And sometimes finding inspiration is, sometimes we feel like, like the writer block. I think also artists, we don't know what to do in terms of art and how to design. So I find this really great exercise. Like I showed you last week, I take just regular object and I turn the object into basically into characters. So let me show you. I made this little video just to show you quickly. 1 second. One second, I'm getting confused here. Hold on. Stop sharing. Then let me refresh it. So basically it's the same. What I do, I take the same shape of in this case, an iron, and I rotate it in different sides to have different views of the same object. This is a very, very fun exercise. I did a video to show you how you do it, but it's something that you can do on your own. You basically create a line art of an object that you choose, and you print it on a paper from different views, and then you turn it into character.
You print it and you draw over with Photoshop or Light Table or whatever.
No, I just drawn it with a pen.
Okay.
1 second. Okay, now it is. Here it is. So that's one. I have another one that I made. 1 second. I made another one last week, so I just want to share the other one I made. In this case, I used a toaster. It's very quick. The video is very quick, but obviously to draw it takes a little bit more time. And I made this time-lapse video. So this exercise, I find this exercise very, very good to kind of get the creative juices going. So I really recommend playing with this exercise. So let me go to my presentation. Do you see my screen now, or not?
No.
1 second. Okay, I'm still. Okay, here we go. So this is the exercise I wanted to share with everybody. Now I want to do a little bit of a recap of what we've been covering in the previous five weeks. So in the first week, we spoke about what it takes to create iconic characters, IPs, from books to a franchise. We covered a lot of case studies like Dr. Seuss, We spoke about the book like The Giving Tree, Le Petit Prince, and many other very famous properties. And we learned that basically there is no one visual or creative formula how to make a successful IP. There's endless possibilities, and that's really the beauty of it, because each and every one of you have a very, very unique visual style, and you have a different story to tell. So that's why I always recommend the same I apply in my art, is do not try to copy others to do the same like they do, unless you do it for purpose of exercise. It's good to do exercise to copy from others to learn their techniques, but when it comes to telling your own story, I always emphasize to my students, find your own style, find your own language, whatever it is. And this is really the most important thing. So this is what we spoke in the first week very briefly. In the second week, we spoke about the power of storytelling, creating narratives that engage and inspire, what it takes to move and inspire audiences, and how to create an emotional connection. So if you remember, we spoke about archetypes. Remember the archetypes, Rafael?
Yes.
So we spoke about Joseph Campbell, all the importance of characters. And as we were going through the weeks, I think you and everybody start to realize that when this class is not just about character design, this class is much more than character design. Character design is just the outcome of a much, much bigger process. And the second week, we started to understand really what goes underneath those famous characters that we encounter in books, in animation, and films. In week 3, we spoke about how to create effective and compelling visuals, how to create a character that serves in the story and the message in the plot or brand. So we got in week 3, we started to talk more about how you create a brand and what are the best tools, what are the best characters you use to tell a story, what is the best visual approach to tell a story. And then in week 4, we spoke about the power of thinking big, creating a blueprint for characters that can grow into a franchise, how to approach and strategize your intellectual property with the right mindset that can grow and expand. And in this class, all of you have been encouraged constantly and repeatedly in every class to think, not just to think about yourself as creating a children's book, because children's publishing is not just about books, but think about thinking something about much, much bigger that can grow into many, many other things. So the idea of you thinking big is something that I would like you, each and every one of you, to follow through and continue creating that blueprint and strategize how you're going to make something that will make an impact, because you all are storytellers. And this is what one of the things that I've been emphasizing a lot, is how you tell the story that mostly can make a positive impact. If you remember, we spoke about it in week 3, about what is the purpose and what is the meaning of what you create. Because when you know what is the purpose of the story and you know the meaning that you want to give to audience, it's much easier for you to not just to write the story, but also create the characters. Because I think in our society, when there's so much emphasis on artificial intelligence and digital, and everything is so mechanical, but at the end of the day, the value of story will never go away. And I think that a lot of artists, they remember that when they work on character design, unless they work for somebody else, that's okay. But even if you work for somebody else, and if you are either you're an employee or you are a freelancer, if you understand what is the purpose and the meaning behind the story, you can be a much more effective character designer and a storyteller. And then in week 5, we spoke about the cross-platform applications, planning ahead with your IP and building a compelling brand. We learned about there are many cross-platform applications of current media, in this case, media for children, and how big brands are basically creating different intellectual properties that are kind of launched simultaneously through books, merchandising, web content, and now the metaverse, Web3, etc. So let's move. What I wanted to share with you in this week, there's a very beautiful case study that I personally really love and adore. It's Barney the dinosaur. Are you familiar with Barney, Rafael?
No, I know him, but not a lot.
Yeah, I didn't grow up on Barney myself, but I've been following this character for many years, and you can see this character went through a lot of reincarnations in terms of the style, and they're going to actually relaunch it, which we're going to see here on the
Mm.
right. So the message of Barney is really beautiful. I love you, you love me. A reboot of Barney, the famous 90s children's TV franchise featuring a titular purple dinosaur, is officially in the works. Mattel announced Monday. Actually, it was announced last week. Set for an unnamed date in 2024, the relaunch will see Barney's getting a new look as an animated series, because until now it was basically a doll. Somebody was a costume, but now they're going to relaunch it as a 3D animation. Produced by Corvus Entertainment, Nelvana. And I think Nelvana is a Canadian company, right? Nelvana is from Canada. And Mattel Television. Along with the new series, Mattel plans to roll out films and YouTube videos. Again, cross-platform, like we discussed. You see that when you study those intellectual properties, you start to see that there's a pattern. How big brands are basically launching such properties. There is a strategic thought behind it, because they're launching things at the same time: film, YouTube videos, and obviously it's going to be a line of merchandise because Mattel is selling toys. The company is also planning a line of adult apparel for adults and accessories featuring the original Barney design. And you may ask yourself, it's a children's story. Why they are selling adult clothing? So why do you think the reason?
Because the parent of the kid, maybe some kid, are grow.
Exactly. These are the adults that used to watch Barney as children, and we're gonna see that there is a very interesting strategy by a lot of brands. They're bringing back very familiar. We're gonna have another case study later. Why they bring out very famous franchises from like many years ago, because the adults who used to watch it as kids, they are also an audience. This is very important. Obviously, if you create something of your own original, you don't have the luxury of basically bringing back a franchise from like 20 years ago, because you're creating something new. In their case, they have the luxury because they own the property, but nevertheless, it's interesting to watch the strategy behind it. So let's watch there's a little video that talks about the history of this franchise. So let me go there. So the evolution of Barney.
Hello, welcome back to my channel. So today, guys, I am going to be talking about the evolution of Barney. Yes, so today we are going to be going over Barney's timeline, looking at some
Rafael, if you can mute your microphone, please.
different looks he was given over the years. But before we hop into that, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on my post notifications so you got get notified when I post again. Now let's get right into this video. Okay, so the very first series of Barney was Barney in the Backyard Gang. This show ran from August 29th, 1988 to October 20th, 1994. In total, there were only 8 episodes. The series focused on a purple Tyrannosaurus Rex named Barney, a ubiquitous figure in many of our childhoods, and a group of kids known as the Backyard Gang, and the adventures they took through their imaginations. The series made more than 3.5 million. The series was a success across the US and Canada. The gang included Lucy, Tina, Derek, Jason, Jeffrey, Adam, and Michael. In the first 3 episodes, The Backyard Show, 3 Wishes, A Day at the Beach, Barney was given a very different look than you may be used to. His main body color is more of a darker blue violet, and he was given a deep, mature tone of voice.
This has been a long day and a fun day, but it's getting late and we've got to get home.
In the next 3 episodes, the Barney in the Backyard Gang, Waiting for Santa, Campfire Sing Along, and Barney Goes to School. Barney's design gets a slight makeover. His eyes become larger and wider. His belly and legs become rounder, and his color becoming a lighter shade of purple, and his mouth becoming smaller. In the last 2 episodes of Barney in the Backyard Gang, you have Barney in Concert and Rock with Barney. Barney was pretty much given a completely new look. And even a new actor. The Big Purple Dinosaur did his first live show in 1991, Barney in Concert. It took place in Dallas, Texas. The Majestic Theater, March of 1991. Baby Bop, a shy 2-year-old Triceratops, was introduced in the show after beating the game.
I don't know why it's getting delayed so many times. I don't know why it's so slow. Anyway, I want to show you now the new version of Barney. There, how they announced the new, basically the new redesign. It's really beautiful to witness the process. I've never seen such a well-known franchise going through so many revisions of character design, but still very known and still lovable. And it's beautiful to see how they are kind of adjusting themselves to more contemporary style. Second. Let me open this so it doesn't open the link.
Everyone's favorite purple dinosaur is back. He got a new look too. Yeah, talking about Barney. Mattel is relaunching the franchise through a series of TV film and YouTube videos. There'll be merchandise too. They're gonna have a show, toys, clothes, books, like all of it. The new Barney series is set to debut in 2024, so it's kind of a minute away. But production on the original show that stopped back in 2010 after 18 years on the air. Yeah, this is. It definitely looks very different from the original life-size Barney. But hey, I mean, making a comeback.
So it's quite fascinating after 18 years that they're bringing back the franchise. That's a really interesting case study. This really beautiful character.
Barney the
Oops, one
dinosaur
second.
is getting a reboot. It's time for the latest news out of
Okay, let me close this. Okay, so let's move forward. So there's few very important notes that I wanted to share about Barney's, because it's I love to study those different IPs, especially those that are bringing back. It's very important because you can get a sense of what is the strategy behind it, and we can learn a lot from the strategy. So let me go back to my screen. Share the screen. Okay. Barney's message of love and kindness has stood the test of time, said George Silverman, Chief Franchise Officer and Global Head of Consumer Products at Mattel. We will tap into the nostalgia of the generations who grew up with Barney, now parents themselves, and introduce the iconic purple dinosaur to a new generation of kids and families around the world, across content, products, and experiences. So basically, from this paragraph, what we can learn is the way Mattel is launching the strategy. They want to create a connection between generations. So it's not just they're launching their IP Barney just for a young generation. They want to create a connection between those who grew up on this character to the new generation, which is a very, very interesting strategy, and it's very effective too. In creating the new series, it is important to us that we properly reflect the world that the kids today live in, so that the series can deliver meaningful lessons about navigating it. Basically, they want to tackle what kind of issues we deal with today in today's society. And they say meaningful lessons. I'm really curious to see what those meaningful lessons will be, because that's a very important statement, right? Said Fred Soley, SVP and General Manager of Mattel Television. With our modern take on Barney, we hope to inspire the next generation to listen, care, and dream big. These are very important human values, which I think is very, very, it's a noble cause. We think that parents, many of whom will fondly remember the original Barney from their own childhoods, will love the show too. Premiering on PBS in 1992, Barney and Friends was a live-action children's series featuring Barney as a plush purple dinosaur come to life to play with kids alongside his friends, Baby Bob and BJ. The show became an overnight sensation and was renewed by PBS after a nationwide campaign by its affiliate networks, the show's producers, and millions of parents whose preschool kids were enraptured by the dinosaurs and their friends. At its peak in the 90s, the show stood alongside the likes of Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood as one of the most popular shows for preschoolers. It's interesting, first of all, to look why they're shifting from live action, basically costume in the studio, to animation. And I think one of the reasons they're doing that is because they're already kind of aiming towards the metaverse, because in the metaverse it's much easier to make the transition as a CGI character. So I don't know, there must be other production considerations, but I think because today there's so much is done in CGI and animation, so that's kind of the more trendy. I personally really like in studio puppets. I think that has a magic of its own, which can be combined with CGI as well. But unlike those shows, Barney never got crossover appeal with adults. So that's a very interesting point. Partly by design, the show focused exclusively on toddlers and preschoolers without the celebrity cameos or more complicated topic discussions that made Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers attractive to older kids and adults. So basically, another very important aspect why they are relaunching the brand, because they want to appeal to older audiences, because until now it was for preschoolers. So that's a very, very great case study, and it's worth looking into deeper for all of you guys. More about Barney. By the early 2000s, Barney had become the target of intense mockery, both in pop culture and at large, and even on other kids shows like Animaniacs. The rapid rise and caustic backlash that the character faced became the subject of a three-part docu-series, I Love You, You Hate Me, which premiered on Peacock and this last October, and speaks with former cast and crew members of on the show about how that backlash affected them. Basically, there has started to be some kind of a criticism from the viewers, or some kind of a negativity. That could be another interesting case study. Barney will become Mattel's latest revival of a decades-old franchise, as the company looks into to introduce some of the most famous IP to a new generation. In 2021, Mattel co-produced a new animated Masters of the Universe series, which we're all familiar with, for Netflix, starring Chris Wood, Mark Hamill, Liam Cunningham, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Lena Headey, with Kevin Smith as a showrunner. This past October, Mattel also relaunched its 2010 Monster High franchise with a new animated series that premiered on Nickelodeon. Mattel is also co-producing a feature film adaptation of its most famous toy, Barbie, starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, and written and will be released by Warner Brothers by July 21 this year. So what I like to study in case of Mattel is obviously relaunching something that was already very popular and giving it a whole new treatment in terms of the content and how they will approach it. But more interestingly, it's interesting to observe how big corporations like Mattel are taking basically characters of toys that have basically no backstory, and they're creating backstory out of thin air, which is, I think it's another very fascinating phenomenon to observe, how you take a character that was created just as a toy, and then you build a story based on the society we live in, because obviously we want to make it appealing to the young generation. So that's another thing I would recommend for all of you students to observe, to take different IPs that Mattel is launching in this case, and see what it takes to take basically a toy that was sold as just a standalone toy, and throughout the years, starting building a story on top of the toy. Because in case of Barney, there was actually a story, and then all the other, everything came after that. So it's interesting to see both sides of the process, which is very fascinating. Now, I would like to talk about something very, very important and very inspiring. There's a book that I highly recommend for all of you to read. It's called The Art of Immersion. In the 20th century, we were spectators, passive consumers of mass media. Basically, the whole experience of media and entertainment is going through a massive transformation, because until now, we're just basically spectators, just observers of content. But these things are changing, because the viewers are becoming participants in content, which is a very, very interesting process and fascinating. Now on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, we are the media, and we view television shows, movies, even advertising as invitations to participate, as experiences to immerse ourselves in it will. Basically, there was another book that I read many years ago. It's called Life, the Movie. It talks about how entertainment and our life start to impact each other, because at the end of the day, and we're going to see a video later in this class, we're going to study how content impacts our consciousness. Whatever we consume, whether it's a book or animation or a toy or a game, it affects our lives, subconsciously or consciously. And this process is very, very powerful, especially for children. So in this book, the author Frank Rose talks in great length and gives a lot of really great examples how different brands are utilizing this ability to immerse their viewers in different experiences to connect them to different IPs. For example, when they did the movie Batman Dark Knight with Heath Ledger, I think it was 2014, it gives example how they hired a a very clever advertising agency. And about 14 months, no, excuse me, 14 weeks before the movie was released, they were creating online buzz about basically the Joker through different mysterious riddles to solve, and people were engaged in mystery that would lead them to the film. It's basically they're creating an online experience to create a community, which is a very clever strategy. The result is an approach to narrative that never existed before. Just as the printing press gave its rise to the novel and the motion picture, camera led to the invention of cinema. Today's digital tools are encouraging us to develop new kinds of stories, told through many media at once in a non-linear fashion. These new narratives encourage us not merely to watch, but to participate. That's really the important word, is to participate, often engaging us in the same way that games do. This is deep media, stories that are not just entertaining, but immersive. That's really the key word here. That take you deeper than a 30-second spot on an hour-long television drama or a 2-hour movie will permit. Basically, the whole idea of the trend of what we see in media nowadays is how you create immersion of the viewer and allow them to be active participant. They become part of the story, which is very fascinating. Now let's watch this little video of Frank Rose explaining his book. What is the book is about. One second.
Oh, hi. My name is Frank Rose, and I'm the author of The Art of Immersion. It's a book about how the internet is changing storytelling. And I thought I'd talk a little now about how I came to write it. I've been telling stories my whole life, really. In the 70s, I landed in New York and started covering the scene at CBGB, writing about bands like Talking Heads and the Ramones and Blondie. After that, I wrote a couple of books and ended up in 1999 writing for Wired magazine. Around 2006 or so, I did an interview with James Cameron for an article about 3D. Cameron was just starting to work on Avatar at the time, and we ended up talking about it quite a bit. He described what he wanted to do as really an immersive experience. In fact, he described it as kind of a fractal experience where you could jump in powers of 10 and the pattern would still hold up. For the casual fan, you could just watch the movie and that would be it. But for the truly committed fan, you could go in deeper and deeper. A year or so after that, I was doing an article about alternate reality games. It was focused on the Year Zero album that Nine Inch Nails had done. Trent Reznor had created this album as a concept album. It was a dystopian vision of America as a theocratic police state. But he had a problem, and his problem was how to really convey that. So he went to a company in Pasadena called 42 Entertainment, and he enlisted their help in creating a new kind of immersive narrative. It began really with a series of concerts in Lisbon. People who bought t-shirts at the show discovered odd messages embedded in their shirts, and things got stranger and stranger after that.
It's not a television show that is on a flat screen that you watch from the beginning to the end. It's not a story you read in a book that's on a page. It's not something on a website that's contained within the parameters of what you know what it is. It spills off those things and into each other and feels like it has no limits.
We do try to blur those lines between reality and what is fiction, but we're never really trying to create a hoax. What we want to do is create an experience where people feel like they're cracking open a novel and jumping into a story.
I've sat in many movie theaters and kind of imagined myself in this world. You know, I've put myself in the place of, you know, characters that I'm seeing. And if people do a fantastic job, whether it's on the page or on the screen, of creating a complete world, then yes, there's many stories to tell there. There's many tangents that you can go down. We've daydreamed about them. And now we can take some of those daydreams and make them realities.
So what I do is really about pattern recognition. And as I worked, I began to see some new patterns. I saw that new ways of telling stories were beginning to emerge. And
this participatory world that we live in today is fundamentally changing
the economics, and the world of entertainment and marketing. Frank Rose has written an amazing book about this topic. It's called The Art of Immersion. I commend you to read it.
Made me think about other transitions, other new technologies. That's when I understood that every time a major new medium comes along, it takes people 20 or 30 years just to figure out what to do with it. Television was invented around 1925, but it was 1951 before you had the sitcom, which is the first form of storytelling that's really native to TV. Motion picture camera was invented around 1890, but it took them until 1910 to even come up with the idea of movie stars. And it was another 17 years after that before they had sound. So what's happening is that a new grammar of storytelling is emerging. A grammar of storytelling that's native to the internet and to the networked world it's creating. But people are still trying to figure out the rules. These are the people I talked to for the book. People like James Cameron, people like Damon Lindelof and Carlton Hughes, the guys who ran Loft, people like Will Wright, the creator of The Sims. These are the people who are defining the way we tell stories today and how we will be telling them tomorrow. And this book is a story I wrote about them.
Absolutely excellent and very, very important book to read. I highly recommend to read that, Rafael, because this book was written about 10 years ago. So a lot of things have changed since then. I think it was written in 2012 or something like that. But once you read the book, you start to understand how storytelling evolves and what you can do to basically not just to tell your story, but what would be the best ways to engage your audiences to allow them to feel that their lives becoming part of something very, very big. Because at the end of the day, every human being, whether it's a child or adult, the power of imagination is very strong. So when you activate those qualities, like we spoke in previous classes, like you create empathy with the viewer emphasizes with the characters, and you engage them within the story, and obviously there is a value and meaning you want to give them, then you create there's a winning product that you have. So let's move to the next slide. Do you have any questions or any comments so far, Rafael?
No, not again.
Okay. Now there's another video that I would like to show with Frank Rose. It's more recent video. Let me go back there. It talks about exploring the impact of story with the same gentleman, with Frank Rose. Let me go there. Let me share the screen again. He's a very fascinated speaker and writer.
I'm Frank Rose. I'm a visiting fellow at Columbia University School of the Arts and the work director of the Digital Storytelling Lab there. I also am the author of several books, most recently The Art of Immersion and last year The 3D Swimming, both of which are about different aspects of storytelling. Social scientists and cognitive scientists in particular, and psychologists and so forth. For a long time, they kind of denigrated the influence of stories. Stories, they were considered not worthy of study. Stories were considered kind of frivolous. They were entertainment, and yeah, maybe they could be fun, but they weren't worthy of serious study. And that began to change with Jerome Bruner, the psychologist who in 1986, I believe it was, published a book called Actual Minds, Possible Worlds, in which he made the case very strongly, and he was a very influential person in his field. He made the case that that there are two modes of thought, and logic and reasoning. That's one. Stories are another, and they're very different but equally important.
We grabbed a little quote of the website. And I think you read every organization is needed.
Well, there used to be a a lot of distinctions. A lot of classifications, and part of it involved just, you know, the audience. You know, you
Rafael, can you mute your microphone? I think that's why it's. Thank you.
considered either, you know, part of a passive audience, or you were, you know, in some way or another, a storyteller, you were a film director, or a journalist, or a novelist, or whatever. And now, I think largely because of the influence of digital, there's a realization that
Let me refresh it. I don't know why it's doing that again. Sometimes it's.
those distinctions are.
Let me refresh the browser, and maybe it's going to stop doing that. Let me let it upload, and that's going to be, I think, going to be faster now.
Well, there used to be a lot of distinctions.
Trying to see why it's going so slow. I don't know what's.
A lot of classifications, and
Close more apps.
part of it involved just, you know, the audience, and you know, you were considered either, you know, part of.
Just closing some.
Passive audience, or you were, you know, in some way. Or another, a storyteller, you were a film director, or a journalist, or a novelist, or whatever. And now, I think largely because of the influence of digital, there's a realization that those distinctions are false. We're all storytellers. And we're none of us passive, you know. Just the mere aspect of understanding stories.
Let me try another browser. It's really annoying that it keeps stopping all the time. Let me try, maybe it's in Chrome, it's going to be faster. Sorry for this delay, and everybody's watching that. It's some technical issue that I'm trying to figure out here. Let's try with maybe Chrome will be faster. I'm going to try to close Brave. Let's see if it's going to make it faster. It's okay.
Well, there used to be
Much better now.
a lot of distinctions, a lot of classifications, and part of it involved just the audience. You were considered either part of a passive audience, or you were in some way or another a storyteller. You were a film director, or a journalist, or a novelist, or whatever. And now, I think largely because of the influence of digital, there's a realization that those distinctions are false. We're all storytellers. We're none of us passive. Just the mere aspect of understanding stories, of processing stories in the brain is an active process. So we effectively co-create a partnership with whoever the author or the filmmaker, whatever. I think there's been a realization in the past 40 years or so that stories are more and more important. I think that we've long had this fiction that we're rational creatures. Everybody is, economically speaking, a rational actor, which is patently not the truth. To sort of admit that we are emotional as well as probably more than we are logical. Personally, I think logic is kind of an aspirational goal for us, but stories are where we live, and to therefore understand how we work, how we think, ultimately where we're going, we need to understand stories and the role that they play. I feel like social media has gotten off, some of it has gotten off to a wrong start, but that has less to do with the, just the fact that social media than it does with algorithmic herding, so to speak, that YouTube and Facebook in particular do. But the fact that we can all tell stories on social media, I think that's great. We tell stories all the time to ourselves, to our friends, just in the course of life. But the fact that we all have kind of a broadcasting platform, not a broadcasting platform, interactive platform like Twitter, say, is great. It's really freeing.
As we are all students that produce stories, I was wondering whether or not you might have some tips to use some advice.
Very important.
So the way to do that, I think, the way to do it responsibly is to tell stories that are true, tell stories that matter to people, tell stories that inspire people. That's wonderful. And you see a great deal of that. You also see a lot of kind of very, very manipulative storytelling. And that's kind of what I'm focused on trying to figure out how to prevent or how to discourage. That's a harder question.
So he spoke about something very, very important, being responsible with storytelling. If you remember when we spoke about, again, what is the purpose and what is the value that we give. And this is critical when we create content for children. Because at the end of the day, the children that we are going to impact with our storytelling these days are going to become the adults in a few years. So we are basically creating our future through storytelling. Do you see how important it is, Rafael? Your microphone is muted. Yeah. So do you see the importance of storytelling even more when we realize that we are actually influencing the children? Yeah.
Yes, it's sure.
Very, very important.
But I have a lot of a question always about. It's hard to. It's easy to have an idea, but to construct all the stuff or made it complete.
Well, that's what we've been learning in the last 6 weeks. All those components that we've been covering this class, they should give you and all the other students the tools how to construct powerful stories. But when we approach storytelling, and not just from the artistic point, we just want to create beautiful characters, we just want to design nice characters, but we want to actually give value and meaning to whoever is consuming or is exposed to our content. That's going to put it on a whole new level.
Yeah.
So that's why that's really one of the goals of this class, is also to create visual storytellers that are responsible, which is extremely, extremely important. Now let's go a little bit deeper into the power of storytelling. Stories have been used to hand down learning and knowledge for thousands of years. That's something that Joseph Kelvin is speaking a lot about, why we even have storytelling. A good story engages our curiosity, emotions, and imagination. Imagination is really, really important. Stories are an entry point to understanding a different experience of the world. Again, it's an entry point to understanding a different experience of the world. Basically, it's like you are creating a portal of through your story that your audience is going into. Do you see my screen, by the way, Rafael?
No, I don't see.
Oh, I'm sorry. So okay, now you should see. So again, stories are an entry point, like a portal to understanding and also experiencing a different kind of world. This aspect of storytelling, presenting a different perspective of the world, it is important when it comes connecting with each other. It gives us an opportunity to learn from another person's experience, and it can shape, strengthen, or challenge our opinions and values. When a story catches our attention and engages us, we are more likely to observe the message and meaning within it than if the same message was presented simply in facts and figures. This is, by the way, why I've been working with children for many years. I've been doing a lot of different activities with kids, classes, and also mentorship. You cannot teach children with facts. You have to tell them stories. Kids love stories. So if you want to give them value and meaning, you got to tell them a good story, not just nice looking characters. When someone tells us their own personal story, we catch a glimpse of a view of the world that may be slightly or radically different from our own. When we see the world as they see it or walk in their shoes, the experience can inspire empathy within them. Like we spoke about before, in one of the aspects of successful storytelling characters, you create empathy with a character. Developed and used purposefully and again, responsibly, storytelling can contribute to inclusion and connection, build confidence, and bring about transformation. This is, I emphasize the word transformation because this is like basically what happens in a story. The character goes through transformation, but if you also can cause or you can inspire transformation in your reader, that's really a great accomplishment. And obviously, again, we're not just not necessarily talking here to a very young audience like preschoolers. We can also appeal to older audiences. Mostly, I think most of us, we want to appeal to a wider range of audiences, because in a young age, the aspect of transformation is maybe it's too early to consider. But in older age, this is something that's very, very important. The transformation aspect is extremely important. Now let's watch a quick video about the power of storytelling. Let me open this. Oh, let me share the screen. Just give me a second. Okay.
All your business needs, one single platform. Go to Wix.com and get a robust booking solution that takes your business further.
I hear, but I
Set
don't
up your
see.
services.
Yes, one
like
second.
Classes, courses, or appointments.
1 second. Let me skip the ad. Give me a second, Rafael. 1 second. Okay, now you can see, Rafael?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
This is I Am. I Am is a good storyteller. No, scratch that. I Am is a great storyteller. We're always telling stories. We always have. From cave paintings to that jaunty new hat we're sporting, everything tells a story. I Am understands the importance of storytelling. Telling a good story gives you power over your audience. Stories engage people to help communicate ideas. You can see how this would be handy in the workplace. Telling a good story creates a bond between the storyteller and the listener. And when that connection is made, the brain of the listener releases oxytocin. The love hormone tells us that we can trust the storyteller and a relationship can form. And you wouldn't do business with someone you can't trust, right? The founder of a successful business will always have a good story to tell. Building a business through blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice gives their story authenticity. And because they believe in it, you will too. You're telling your own story right now. It's not just those carefully chosen words. Subconsciously, you're giving off signals. Your body posture, the clothes that you're wearing. Stories don't have to be complex or detailed to be interesting. The simpler a story is, the more likely it is to stick. You can maximize your storytelling power by remembering this simple little acronym. S, solve a problem. Use your story to answer a question that your audience has been thinking. T, triumph. Whatever happens in your story.
Like, for example, in your story about the cactus and the bird, what's the problem? The problem that they're trying to figure out how they're going to travel, right? Right? So that's example.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's solve a problem right there.
An eventual triumph will capture the heart.
So the triumph will be they're able to overcome that situation and they can go on their adventure.
Parts of your audience. O, outcome. Consider what you want the end game of your story is. Line. Consider what you want the end game of your story to be. What are you trying to achieve by telling it? Ah, research. With the correct research.
By the way, the outcome, it's not just the outcome of the story, is also what is the impact you want to create on your audience. That's what's the meaning you want to give them, right? So you can think about if you want the cactus and the bird to go on an adventure. So maybe the outcome, it's not just them going to adventure. You also want to inspire your audience to think about in their life, what is blocking them to go to live their dreams. Okay, that's an outcome. Okay.
You can tailor a narrative to be specific to your audience. Why? You, using your own stories wherever possible, makes a story more believable.
By the way, in terms of research, I like to do a lot of research about different aspects of stories, because when you learn about the subject of your story, you can find a lot of really cool ideas. For example, let's say you tell a story about a cactus. You know, some cactuses, they have flowers. Some cactuses don't have, they have fruits. So maybe you can think about cactus that have a flower or have a fruit. How is that going? You know, things like that. You can think about a lot of really cool ideas pertaining to your subject matter. So the research is very, very important. It's very helpful too.
Believing in your your story goes a long way to convincing your audience of your sincerity. Make your stories engaging and build a relationship with your audience. If you do that, you'll soon be working on a sequel. The end.
So engaging, in other words, you want to create an immersive experience. That's when your audience becomes engaged in your story, it becomes part of their lives. So you create a very deep bond with your audience. That's a very, very important part of the process. So let's go to the next video. Now, this is more psychological aspect. It's called How Stories Change Your Mind. This is it's a fascinating talk that talks about the psychology of the impact of storytelling on the viewers or the reader. How stories work and how they impact our minds.
There's a Native American proverb that says, the one who tells the story rules the world. Stories have the potential to be incredibly powerful. They're able to change how we relate to each other, to change prejudice. So the potential for stories to persuade is staggering. I read this really, really good research paper about these two books, which basically suggested that if you get people to read a couple of chapters of Harry Potter, they'll rate themselves higher than other people in their ability to potentially move something just using the power of their mind. The people who read about the vampires, they'll actually believe that their teeth are slightly longer than other people in the population, just as a result of having read a chapter or two of this book.
Assimilation.
In terms of psychology, there's a few things that stories actually do to us.
Transportation.
We get the sense that we're fully immersed in the world that we're reading about.
Would you like to come on the adventure?
We start to almost feel as if the things that are happening to them are happening to us.
Reading is not a relaxation. You are building worlds. You are populating those worlds with cities, and those cities you are populating with people. So although television, film, theatre all have their place in the storytelling world, to me, that moment of contact with a book, when you read a story and unlock its secrets, nothing quite comes close.
Our research has been on the meaning of individual words. If you read the word jump, for example, you activate those areas that you also activate when you do actually perform the action of jumping. So that would be about here somewhere. The interesting question in this case, of course, is, I mean, if you read about somebody else jumping, why should you activate brain areas related to jumping? The proponents of the theory would say that immersing yourself into a story is based on the mirror neuron system. I am convinced that mirror neurons are part of this process, but it can't be the whole story.
It's been found that when we connect with people who aren't real, but are fictional characters, it forms a sort of social surrogate for us. It's almost like they're a real person when they're not. And psychologists sometimes call it forming a parasocial relationship. And what's interesting about that is it kind of makes us feel less lonely. And it can also offer self-esteem and improve our mood. We know that having a lot of friendships with other people when you're in a couple is a really positive thing for the outcomes of that relationship. But what's really interesting is they don't have to be real people. If you're trying to change people's opinions about controversial topics such as same-sex marriage or immigration, for example, stories have actually been found to be a lot more effective in producing political change. Attitudes towards stigmatized groups could be improved by reading Harry Potter. but only if the person identified with Harry.
Children love stories. They always have a story to tell, whether it's about the weekend or what happened in the playground. And it's such an important part of understanding the world around them and understanding themselves.
We should definitely turn this off right now and go and pick up a book.
Don't turn it off yet. We have another video to watch. So that gives us another layer, another depth of understanding why we do what we do as visual storytellers. Extremely, extremely important. And just another video that I wanted us to watch. It's a little bit longer, but it talks about imagination, storytelling, and the importance of wonder. This is absolutely fascinating video. It's a TED Talk. Skip the ad.
Hello. It's an honor to speak here today. Thank you very much. I've always had this calling to theatre and this dream of what theatre means, this sacred imagination space for humanity, this world of many gods, human beings, and their monsters. I don't use the word theatre to describe a place. In fact, theatre can happen anywhere. And I believe sometimes theatre can achieve most outside of theatre buildings. To me, theatre is a space and time that exists in a magical moment of collective suspended disbelief. The moments where an audience is immersed, is united, has become a subconscious tribe, collectively believing in, and more importantly, feeling a fantastical moment or a moment of fantastical reality before it disappears like a dream. In these moments, the audience will breathe together. They'll hold their breath with the performer. They'll also feel the performers, the landscape of the performer's emotion as they journey into love, death, loss, betrayal. And as a performer, you can feel the audience there with you. You can sometimes feel an individual's emotion, and it can move you as a performer in that moment of honest human connection. The performer is moved by the audience's emotional response. And what's brilliant is that the performer then reflects that back. They are changed. It becomes part of the theatre. The performer discovers something new in the play between the audience and themselves. They discover new and true feelings in the theatre they were conjuring, but which is equally being conjured simultaneously by the audience. An individual's emotion can ripple through a play in that way. And I believe the whole audience tribe can sense it, they can feel it, they can hold it. In those moments, all are one and one are all. I believe this phenomenon to be unique to theatre. I believe the more diverse the audience tribe, the more valuable the discovery of belonging. The more diverse the audience tribe, the more cathartic the experience of shared feeling. The richer the pool of experience and emotion, the more profound the impact of conscious tribal dreaming, the more magic the theatre. Theatre teaches us to see ourselves in each other and each other in ourselves, and it's powerful to be seen, to feel, to belong, especially beyond our self-perceived social and cultural borders. I realize what I'm talking about is something that's subjective, that's hard to measure. It's a phenomenon, though if you've ever felt it, I'm sure you'll know. I believe that human beings long for this sort of connection, and it hardly needs to even be mentioned that it's something that I believe that we're forgetting in a world of social networking rather than social interaction, in a world of Wi-Fi connection rather than human. Human beings are tribal animals. We've not yet evolved to be this lonely. Human connection, I feel in theatre, gives me the same sense of awe that I sometimes feel when I'm looking at the stars. It fills me with the same sense of wonder. Our theatre is embraced by an ever-growing audience, many who don't go to theatres. Theatre can be transforming. The magic of theatre can be thrilling, but our theatre needs to be rogue. It needs to be in the places that the audience's imaginations own.
So I just wanted to give you very briefly this video to share this with you, because obviously it talks about theater. The reason I wanted to show the example of theater, because in theater, the immersive experience is much more exaggerated, and you can actually really feel the performer, whether it's for children or for adults. There is some kind of a collective consciousness between the performer, what happens on stage, and the viewer. And obviously it's a very old form of art, but I think it's something that in whatever shape or form is possible to explore, because I used to be part of theater when I was younger, when I was in acting when I was a child myself. There's a lot of magic in theater, and there's experience that you cannot measure when you do things through a screen. So whether you sit and read a book to a group of children, or you perform something for children with your book, or whatever you do with them, you can actually feel the immediate connection with them. So the reason I'm showing this example, talking about the magic of theater, because it's not a lost art, but it's definitely not as prominent as social media. But for storytellers, it's very, very something that I highly recommend to experience. It's really beautiful experience. And there's another last video I want to share before we end. It's another case study of something very, very interesting. It's an animated show from Australia. It's called Bluey, and I'm gonna talk about quickly after the video. I'm gonna talk about why I chose this example. It's actually one of the most popular shows in Australia right now. You heard about the Bluey? You familiar with that, Rafael? You know about that?
Yes, I know it.
You know, okay, fantastic. So let's watch a little trailer here of Bluey, and maybe for other students who have not seen that yet.
When you get your next big idea, Grammarly's tone suggestions can help pitch it with
1 second, let me
confidence.
close
Get your
the
team on board.
advertising.
See her email?
Already calling vendors. Grammarly makes all the difference.
Okay.
My name's Bluey. I live in Queensland, Australia. What can I get you for breakfast? And I work as a waitress. Customer has ordered 1 chicken nugget. A part-time mermaid. An explorer. A pilot. That's me. And a ninja. I like to keep busy.
Stop, canine!
I love horsey riding. Giddy up, Sparkles. And howling with my mates.
Critters must be hungry.
Drawing's also fun. Oh, what a small mustache you have. This is my sister Bingo. She likes to play Crazy Pillow. And mechanics. Oh yeah, love. Let you do that. Oh, the doodah. This is my dad. He's often very busy. Can you play games with us?
No time for games, Squirt. 1 sec, I just gotta pop downstairs. Dude.
What's Cupcake? And this is Mum. Cupcake. She's brilliant at keepy uppy. Wait, what's that, Mum?
Please insert your coin to win fabulous prizes.
And magic claw. And she gives great hugs. Well, now you've met my family. Taxi! So, if you'll excuse me, thank you, madam. I have to drive a taxi. Yeah! Do you want to play? Yeah!
I love that the character design is so simple, and obviously the Australian humor is priceless, and it's such a great property. It's very successful there, and I want to talk about quickly before we end the class why I chose Bluey as a case study. Let's go there. The reason I wrote it because there was actually I read an article about a lady. She's 28 years of age, and she says, "I'm a 28-year-old woman with no kids, and Bluey is one of my favorite shows." So basically, a 28-year-old woman, she's watching a show that is for kids. It's quite a remarkable phenomena that I don't know if they're meant to create show that will be for adults, but if she's enjoying that, I'm sure there are many other adults who enjoy it as well. So what she wrote, she says, so why am I absolutely obsessed with a children's show? First, it's funny, like actually funny. The first time I surprised myself by laughing out loud was while watching a clip about sock puppet from an episode titled Unicorns. One quick clip turned into a highly ritual, and I was suddenly immersed. Again, the word immersion appears a lot today. Immersed in the bluey cinematic universe, singing along to the catchy theme song and claiming my favorite characters, like how I'm a bingo moon with a rising muffin sun. I was even shipping fictional cartoon dogs because I swear if Uncle Rad and Frisky didn't get together, it would have been a missed opportunity. At the same time, I was building an emotional connection with these characters. Watching this Australian show made me feel, okay? It evoked a very deep sense of feeling. The doggos are sarcastic. Again, these are qualities that adults identify with, not necessarily children, but they're sarcastic, vulnerable, and despite being an animated anthropomorphic dog, a realistic family, one that sometimes reminds me of my own and helps me reflect on my own childhood. Again, creating empathy, my own childhood memories. One episode entitled Handstand had me bowling like a baby. All Bingo wanted was to show off her handstand to someone, anyone. When no one wanted to sit and watch, it was her grandmother who took a seat and let Bingo attempt her handstand over and over again until she perfected it. It brought me back to sitting at the kitchen table with my grandmother and spending time with her after school or on weekends. It was her patience, attention, and unwavering love demonstrated through a small everyday moment that had this episode pulling on my heartstrings. So the reason I chose this obviously is because it's a beautiful example how adults can enjoy something that was created for children. So never underestimate the power of what you create. Okay, so just for closing notes, it's already almost 6 p.m. We've covered a lot in those 6 weeks, and I was very extremely honored and very grateful for the journey that you guys went with me through those 6 weeks. What we learned is that we're not just character designers, but you are actually world builders. And before you are a world builder, you're a storyteller. But most importantly, before you are a storyteller, you are a thinker. And there's a lot of content that I brought and share with you in this class to make you think, because thinking before actually drawing an actual character, the thinking ability is really the most important and valuable asset that you can have as a visual storyteller. So I encourage you all to watch again the recordings of all our weeks you have. I'm going to send you this last one as well. You have all the links. I highly recommend you to watch it again, and if you need to take more notes. And again, it was a true pleasure spending the time with you guys, and I invite you to contact me after today, and I invite you to do a private mentorship with me to work on your personal projects. And I'm here to serve you, and we can find out the best times and arrangements to keep the work going and keep the momentum going. So Rafael, do you have any last notes, any observation, anything you want to share?
Yes, it's a very I have a very complete patterns to stick on it and find ID. But I have a lot of ID.
Okay. And what was your overall experience from the class?
To learn, not just to I've learned to draw some pretty drawing, but I realized they're missing something more in the root. I don't know, it's clear, but in the root of drawing, just beautiful drawing is not, it's not enough.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, thank you. Yes, pretty drawings is not enough. Exactly. So now you know that you're also you build worlds, you're a storyteller, but you are a thinker. thinking is really what I wanted you guys to be able to acquire in this class. So that's why it was my intention to share with you as much as possible, so you can expand your capacity to be a thinker before you're doing all the other things. And I hope that you guys all of you you've been inspired. And I thank you all for being with me for those 6 weeks. And I look forward to continue working with you. Please reach out to me. I have my email. And let's continue this journey. I would like to see your projects coming to life, and I want to see you successful. Thank you so much. And I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you, Rafael.
Thank you. And okay.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes. Yes.
I can send you an email.
Yeah. Please send me an email. We can continue. We can talk about mentoring.
Okay.
Okay. See you
Okay.
guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.